You are live. Hello, everybody. This is Nicholas Tanek from YourKinkyFriends.com. Oh my God, she's back. The magnificent, the wonderful. Oh. If you have not seen this episode or the episode with this person in it, I highly recommend you watch the first one. It's really fun. It's really great. It's one of my very first ones. I was very green when I started doing this, and she was absolutely magnificent, and I'm sure she's going to be magnificent today. Oh my God, we are going to talk. We're going to talk about sadism. We're going to talk about the Nightshade Sanctuary. We're in San Francisco. We're going to talk about drag and advice, chastity, and all that good stuff. And of course, because everyone's in quarantine right now, we're going to talk about how we're dealing with it. So please welcome the magnificent Mistress Lillian Bastet. Say hi.
Wow, thank you for that intro. That was quite lovely. And yeah, I was a beginner when we first had our interview as well. So I was excited to hear from you again and basically just catch up because a lot has happened in the past couple of years since I talked to you. So thanks for having me back.
Oh, the honor is mine and the viewers. The honor is the viewers. So tell us what happened since the last time we talked.
Well, when we talked, I had kind of just started working as a professional. So I was in my beginning stages, which I feel like I'm always in a beginner's mind in this kind of work. But at that time, I was still working at a house of domination. And since then, I went independent and I opened up my own space in San Francisco. So I have a studio where I host classes and workshops and events, as well as it's a host for a dungeon space for pro doms to rent it out as well. So I started doing my own thing basically since I talked to you.
All right. So is this Nightshade?
Yes.
Nightshade. Okay. Where'd you come up with the name?
Well, I have always been intrigued by so nightshade is the plant family of datura is one of my favorite flowers. It's also called the devil's blossom, I think, and it is very poisonous. But if it's taken in small doses, it provides sort of this like healing, awakening, transformative experience. So I've been really connected to that plant, and I just thought that Nightshade was a sexy name for BDSM because to me, all forms of play and kink kind of play with the shadow side of the self, and
Definitely.
I felt that having a Nightshade is sort of the name of what happens in the space, and Sanctuary is the container for that to happen in. So that's kind of where it
Okay.
came from.
So you have Nightshade Sanctuary. In a lot of dungeons, they have various themes and playrooms and toys and equipment. What is not only the most popular equipment, but what is your personal favorite?
Well, my space is pretty interesting because it also serves for other events. So I have a main space that I call it my tabula rasa, like it's just a blank canvas, and I do a lot of art shows and performances out of that space. So it's just really big and open. And in that space, I also have a suspension bar that can be put up. So that's kind of fun because there's a lot of space to move around in there. And then the dungeon area, I have all kinds of equipment, but it also is sort of just this dark, sexy, artsy space. I have a lot of my own personal art is on the walls. And I guess one of my favorite pieces of equipment in there is just a spanking bench that I had custom made for me. And it's on wheels, so you can move it around throughout the whole space. So that's kind of convenient because you can play in the big space, or you can be in the darker dungeon area. And yeah, I would say
Okay.
that's my favorite thing.
Interesting. Now let's talk. One thing, I've been to San Francisco many times, been down the crookedest road, the crookedest street. You know what I mean? One thing I love about San Francisco is the artistic kind of energy around there. And you know, you're an artist. You're San Francisco. So before we get into the kink stuff, let's talk about your art. What's your art like? Who are your influences? What do you do? Is it pat? Is it painting? Is it drawing? Is it what?
I do a little bit of everything. Um, my background is in dance and performance, so I tend to move more towards performance art, which is why I do the drag. But I also do painting. I do mostly oil painting, but that's kind of just more of like a hobby, and it's sort of fun and therapeutic for me to paint. And then I love doing photography, so I I would say my top two mediums are performance and photography.
Okay, great. All right, let's get back to the king. All right. So you are a professional dominatrix. Everybody has some, yes, some are jack of all trades, but some have um, specialties. And in the last interview, we talked about this, but just for people who haven't, because it's been a couple years, what would you say your specialties are?
So I still refer to myself as a sensual sadist, and I use that term because I really love playing with sensory play. My background is in massage therapy, so any kind of like touch and sensation that works with the body is really fun for me. So that includes pain. So I definitely consider myself a sadist, and I like playing with basically taking people to a place where they can really connect to their body as well as sort of be out of their body at the same time. So playing with the senses does that. You know, you take away the sight, you play with different types of touch, soft, hard, ticklish, things of that nature. So I really like sort of anything that has to do with getting someone into their body and connecting in that way feels really important to me. So.
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about first of all, why do you think? First of all, why do you like it being a sensual sadist, and why do you think people like being on the masochistic side of being of you being a sadist?
Well, I enjoy it because I get to really hold a space for somebody, both energetically and physically, because I'm using an implement or my hand to have a physical connection to them. And I think for the masochist, usually what they need and what they get out of it is just like feeling their body. They're too much in their head. They're thinking all the time, they're wanting to control the situation, and when they feel that sensation of touch, whether it's pain or sort of a sensual flogger going up their back, um, it just allows them to breathe deeper, to connect to their body, um, and to let go of whatever was going on in their mind, because all of a sudden they're in. So I like having that sort of power and control to hold that space for them to go inwards.
Definitely, I know. I totally can respond to that because when I am in the submissive state, the fact that I don't have to make a decision is one of the best, most freeing things that
Yeah.
I can think of. So,
Yeah.
okay, let's say hypothetically, I have no experience at all being with a professional dominatrix, and I want to experience either sensory deprivation or central sadism. And let's say, hypothetically, um, my two hard limits are piss play and scat. Anything else is fine. What would be the process? What would you do?
So in that case, I bring them into my space, and then I bring them into my space, meaning my energy, my power. So I like to just have them either get down on their knees or just, stand with their hands behind their back, looking down. And I just sort of guide them to disconnect from their outer world and to connect to their breath, and then to just feel my presence, to listen to my voice. I sort of do sort of this hypnotic guidance to bring them into the space. And then from there, I try and touch base with a little bit of everything. So I'll usually blindfold them, take away their sight. That way they don't have control of the situation and they get to feel what the anticipation is. I think that's really exciting for people when they can just hear my heels, on the ground, and they can, you know, um, maybe I'll swing the cane just to get the sound there, and that
Oh
creates a
yeah,
creates a rush through their body. And
especially if you
um,
can't see your ears, your hearing kind of is.
yeah, so
Uh,
it's about taking away one thing to heighten another. So all of a sudden they're connecting to their, just listening to what's going on in the room, and then through that they, feel different things coming up for them. And then usually I'll do a little bit of bondage, let them feel what it feels like to be restricted in their body. And then usually beyond that, I'll use different toys or implements to create a connection with them with touch. And I find that sort of process, 1, 2, 3, will get them into subspace really quickly. And then from there, whatever other interests they have, I'll sort of throw in there. So,
okay. Now you're talking about toys. What kind of toys you talking about?
well, I am pretty traditional. I love the flogger. I think I like flogging because I like the movement of it, and I'm a dancer, so I love the rhythm and sort of the fluidity that I can um, play with by using those. And so I'll start with that just to sort of get some like heat in the body. Just plain old spanking is great. And then I'll move on to harder tools if they're into that. So paddles, whips, canes, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was going one of the questions I was going to ask you is, regarding impact play. I mean, floggers, whips, canes, riding crops, they're all great. I love them all. But what's your favorite? You would say flogger?
I would say flogger and the whip. I have a really awesome dragon tail whip that is leather, and I just like love playing with it. I love the sound. I love the sensation. So,
Okay.
mhm.
All right. So, all right, we're gonna bring it down. We'll get into the fun stuff later, but everybody's dealing with the pandemic these days. So,
Yeah.
and quarantine and stuff like that. So, how first of all, how are you dealing with it?
Well, I just take it day by day. I'm like really having to find acceptance in the unknown. And in the beginning, it was really hard for me just because I was watching all the events and classes that I had planned out just cancel one by one. And that was pretty disheartening. But um, I'm healthy. I'm fine. I am managing the best I can. And as far as, I'm very sad that I don't get to play or, connect with people. Um, but I've been focusing on some other passions. So I've been writing a lot, been
Oh,
reading a lot. And it's kind of I wouldn't say it's a blessing in disguise, but it's been really nice to have the time to do these things that I've really wanted to do for a long time. So,
that's it. That's funny that you say that because a lot of people are doing very creative things during this pandemic, especially kinky things. So what are some ways people during the pandemic, if they're with somebody or even if they're not with somebody, or if they have an online dom or whatever, what are some creative ways people can be kinky during this whole quarantine thing?
well, luckily there's a lot of resources out there that are doing like kinky. play parties and stuff. I know there's a leather social that I've been attending. I think it's once a month, and that's with a few pro-doms and lifestyle people, mostly from New York, but it's open to everybody. And that's allowed people to connect. And usually during that time, they do a lesson in boot blacking. They talk about it changes every month, but they talk about how you can do self impact play, how you can, yeah, just there's lots of creative ideas out there. But I mean, as far as to stay kinky by yourself, there's so much in your household that is you can turn into a kinky thing. So I think people are getting creative with that for sure.
Okay. So you said you started writing, correct?
Hmm.
All right. So, all right. Every author or just writer, anybody who's doing anything dealing with writing, because I'm an author, and there are certain terms for genitalia like that are just not good. so I didn't send you this in the questions, but like there's turgid shaft, there's slit. You know what I mean? Like, what are some of the absolute worst words or phrases that you could think of to describe genitalia?
Oh my God. You're just throwing this out at me. I wasn't
Oh yeah.
prepared for this. um, uh, well, of course, now I'm not going to be able to think of any because I'm on the spot. Um, I mean, there's a lot of names for the vagina that I don't love. I just call it what it is. It and like pussy's okay, but I just like yeah. Um, and as far as the penis, I don't have anything to do with those, so
You don't like turgid shaft?
I just can't get on board with that. Yeah, I don't know if I don't love that word.
All right. So you are a sensual sadist, right?
Hmm.
So now with quarantine, everything is seems to be doing online. So what are some creative ways you can be sadistic and be online?
Well, when you say sadist, people think of automatically impact play or things where you're like doing something physical to another person. But I think that like humiliation play can be really sadistic.
Oh, definitely.
Psychological play. So during this time where you can't be with another person, you can certainly come up with very sadistic psychological role plays to have people sort of just live out in their mind, or forcing them to do really humiliating things can feel kind of evil and sadistic to some people, I think. So,
Okay, you give us like an example.
um, I mean, I'm just picturing people feel so like, kind of stuck and alone in their home. And maybe if they're really into humiliation, you can just heighten that and, make them do things that they would never think about doing even in their own home, I guess.
Interesting. Like what? Like sticking things up their butt or dressing like a woman or something or
I mean, to me, that's not sadistic. That's kind of
yeah.
just like fun and playful.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I know.
so I'm sure a lot of people are doing that right now.
Yeah, I'm sure. People are doing that without the having a dom making them do that.
Exactly.
They would like a dom to make them do that, but
Yeah, exactly.
okay. So how can people do it? All right, let's talk about drag. One thing that you love that we talked about before is drag. and you it was it wasn't you. You know, there's drag of women dressing like men or men dressing like women, but your style was you kind of adopting the drag queen persona, like the overly flamboyant, you know, male dressed as a woman, and you're a woman, you know. But you know, in these times, a lot of people, like I'm seeing, because I'm friends with a lot of burlesque performers, and they like they dress up and they have these shows online and stuff like that. Are you doing any of the drag stuff, like just at home alone, or you know?
Yeah, same with the burlesque, the drag community is just like all on board to doing online stuff now. So it's really cool because people are still making their art, they're still trying to support each other. And I did perform in an online drag show a few weeks ago, and that was really fun and really weird because there's no audience. So you're just like performing to a screen, basically. Um, so I did do that. And then, yeah, sometimes I just do my makeup at home. And sometimes I take pictures, sometimes I don't. I just do it to have fun and be playful. Um, so, yeah, I'm still definitely doing a little bit of the drag, whether it's for anybody or not.
That's cool. No, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. Please send me the links to any of the videos that you posted. Are they on YouTube, or are they just on like Instagram and Facebook Live or whatever?
Yeah, they usually, well, the one that I was in happens every Wednesday night, and they usually do it through Zoom and Facebook Live. So I think it's usually saved on Facebook, but yeah, there's,
Please send me the link. Excuse me. Please send me the link. I'll put it on the site so people can watch it and follow it. And because that's I want to, you know. So another thing that I know that you are involved with in is sissification. You know, so for sissies in quarantine, what advice would you give for sissies in quarantine?
well, this is kind of a perfect time to like really get into that if, you
Ooh,
know, you're home because you can take as long as you want to get ready. You can really play with makeup, and if you fuck it up, who cares? Just do it again. There's like so much um, tutorials and stuff that's available online to watch if you want to learn how to do makeup or um, you know come up with different outfits. Dance in front of your mirror, like feel really get in your body and feel sexy because you're at home and no one else can see you, so who cares? um, so yeah, I mean, I think this is could be a really fun time for sissies to really like be who the fuck they want to be because they're at home and they can play around with it.
that's a great answer. Oh my God, you just gave inspiration. You gave hope to so many people. So, all right, let's talk about chastity. I know that. All right, so it, I know everyone's in quarantine and everything like that, but um, do you have anybody in chastity right now?
I don't actually, not right now. Um, but I have been playing with a couple of my subs, you know, through distance, and I would say doing a form of chastity because I'm trying to teach them to not just focus on the orgasm. Um, and I feel like it's really important to find sensuality and sexuality and pleasure even just through, you know, touching different parts of your body or using different, you know, I'm mostly speaking for a female sub that she just goes for the vibrator, highest setting, has her orgasm, and she's done. And I'm really trying, I'm putting her sort of in a form of chastity by teaching her to not do that and that she's really needs to explore her body and be
Interesting.
able to have an orgasm um, without the vibrator, or she's not allowed to orgasm for, you know, however many days, stuff like that. So I don't have anyone in like lock and key chastity, but I'm playing with different ways that my submissives can explore sexuality and orgasm in a different way.
Orgasm control, basically.
Basically, yeah, which I would say is kind of a form of chastity.
Yeah, no, oh, it's definitely a form of chastity. All right. In the last interview, you said um, monogamy doesn't really work for me. Do you still believe that?
I, yeah, I was reading your questions and I forgot that I answered that way. At the time, I was feeling kind of confused and stuck with relationships because most of the ones that I had just weren't fulfilling or successful. I still think that monogamy is an interesting concept because I think it can work for certain people as long as there's a lot of autonomy within the relationship. So I value independence and autonomy so much that I think, I'm in a monogamous relationship right now.
Really? Okay, cool.
um, but what I value about it is that we're really both independent and we still have our own separate lives. And, we have this relationship together. So, yeah, that has changed since I last talked to you.
Okay. Yeah, people change. I mean, it's been a while
Yeah,
since we talked. So, yeah.
for
So
sure. Yeah.
okay, that's cool. So all right, and obviously you are a kinky person, and please, you don't have to say anything personal about, your partner or anything like that. But I'm always curious on how people meet. So how did you two meet?
Well, I'm happy to talk about my partner because she is a fellow dominatrix.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
Mistress Ophelia Margot, and we met at the house that we were working at. So last time I talked to you, I said I was working at a house of domination. I met her there. And so we actually were friends and we knew each other for about a year and a half before we started dating. And so she's wonderful and a powerhouse. And I love being able to date someone who is also in the scene and also is a fellow dominatrix because we can collaborate and we can also just kind of share experiences with each other. And it feels so wonderful to be able to talk to your partner about what you do. So,
Yes, definitely. Like I always said, true love is not having to clear your browser history.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put the bond in bondage.
Yeah.
I would love to interview her. Tell her set up an interview with me.
Sure.
Yeah, I would totally love it. So
Yeah.
okay, so all right, so you both of you are dominatrixes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is really interesting to me. Both of you are dominatrixes. So what is the relationship dynamic like? Are you both? Do you fight over the domination? Is one submissive to the other? Is like, well, what's that like?
Yeah. Two tops dating each other is can be challenging. It's also
Sounds like a great rom com.
yeah, it's really great. I mean, I think we're both really sweet with each other and we care about each other a lot. So I wouldn't say that we necessarily one or the other identifies as like, oh, I'm being submissive to you. But we generally just really, we're very sweet with each other and we're not always, trying to like be the dominant one. But that being said, we do both have dominant personalities. So we have to kind of work around that sometimes and just be really open to negotiating and having super good communication and being humble to each other. Like if someone's being too much over the top, we have to be able to call the other out and talk about it and just come back down to earth and be like, we're still two people. Like, we're not always dominant.
I'm sure, like because I mean, life is life. Everyday life, gets in the way of things.
Mhm.
You're not always sexed out. Like you're not going to the supermarket smacking each other with loaves of bread. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So please, anybody watching, please keep in mind that even though I would that would be fun to see that, but still.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right,
we're just two people and we love each other, and so
that's
we're not
awesome.
the dominatrix all the time.
Okay, so you met at the house. Okay, all right, great, awesome, wonderful. So last time we spoke, you said you were curious. I asked about new kinks you wanted to try, and you said blood play and needle play. Did you ever get a chance to experience that?
Yeah. Mistress Tara Indiana and Soma Snake Oil taught a weekend long medical intensive at Nightshade last September. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to take a bunch of classes that got into medical play. And yeah, I learned a lot, needle play, and we did blood cupping, and it was so fun. So I've definitely played with that since then.
Nice. Now, is it something you're going to want to do again, or is it something that you're over with?
No, I had so much fun. And I hope I get more submissives who are into it. Right
Oh,
now,
okay. So,
not everyone is like into that. So I have to
yeah,
just,
oh, yeah, no, no, it's
yeah,
definitely a specific fetish. So,
yeah.
so, so this was something you did to somebody else, or was someone did it to you?
Both. I always experience what I'm learning and what I'm potentially going to do to another person, just so I know how it feels. So yeah, I've needled myself. I've needled other people. I've had people needle me. So
Okay, what's now everybody has their most sensitive part, and it's different for everybody. That's one thing I realized. What is the most sensitive part for you?
um, I think the most sensitive parts are like, I have a lot of tattoos, so there's a lot of areas on the body that don't see sun, and those are usually the most sensitive parts. And I think that's the same for like any kind of play that I do too. So like on the insides of the arm or the inner thighs, those areas that don't see. Especially for me, I'm a vampire, so I don't even go out in the sun that much. But um, those tend to be pretty sensitive to me. My calves are also really sensitive. So yeah, I would say
Okay,
the inner parts mostly.
interesting. Yeah, I was talking to Mia Action, who's a master she is a master of tickle torture. Are you ticklish?
I am ticklish.
Uh,
Yes.
uh, what do you think? What do you think of tickle torture?
I fucking hate it. I don't like receiving it, but I love giving it. Giving tickle torture to somebody is so fun. But yeah, I do not like receiving it.
What's funny is okay. So I live with my dom, right? I live with my dom. We don't live 24/7, but in the bedroom, when we're in mode, we're good. But see, I'm not ticklish at all, but she is, and that's the one thing I could get her if I could oh, there's just something the brat in me just wants to just get in her armpits and go.
Totally. Yeah.
All right. All right. I interviewed you already. So BDS on a budget, and unless you have any new ideas on BDSM on a budget, do you have any new ideas on BDSM, especially during quarantine? How to be kinky while you're in quarantine
Yeah.
with no money.
Well, like I said, there's like so much in the household that you can play with. Lots of kitchen things, spatulas, wooden spoons, things of that nature. Also, pantyhose are really great.
Ooh.
And pretty affordable. So you can use those for bondage. You can use those for breath play. You can use them for sensory deprivation, pretty much anything. So those are, if you have a belt lying around the house, I think there's quite a lot that you can be creative with during this
Definitely. No,
time.
no. Solid answers. Solid answers. Okay. Rapid fire recommendations. They don't have to be kink related. Okay. They don't have to be calculated. Recommend a film.
Um, uh, I just watched Venus and Furs for the first time.
Oh, which one? The Polanski one or the black and white one?
The Polanski one.
Oh yeah, no, that's good. That was like a Broadway play.
Yeah, it was pretty great. So
Yeah, no, it's a great film.
I just saw it for the first time, so that was kind of fun.
It's a great film. It's a great story. It's a great film. Yeah. Although I'm not like really hip to the Roman Polanski, stuff that he did in his personal life, but the guy knows how to make a good movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Recommend a song.
Um. Oh God, I'm not good at this rapid fire because I like to think and analyze so much.
Any song, just a song that you. What song did you listen to today?
I listen to Lady Gaga, "Stupid Love"
Okay,
today.
no, I like Lady Gaga. She's a talented woman. She's a talented performer. Yeah. Okay. All right. Recommend a book.
Um, right now, I'm reading "Bow Down." Um,
Heard about it. Didn't
excellent.
read it. Heard about it though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I'd recommend that.
Okay. Recommend a television show.
Little Fires Everywhere on Hulu.
Oh, I gotta see that. That's on my list because I'm not going anywhere because we're in quarantine.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty good. I'd recommend it.
yeah, I'm definitely gonna, yeah, that's on my list to check that out. I definitely want to see that. All right, all right, the television show. Recommend a meal.
Mistress Ophelia and I have been cooking a lot, and we love cooking, but we've been cooking extra this time. So I would recommend pasta with fresh pesto if you can make it.
Ooh,
And you can make pesto out of anything. So we've been gardening a lot and just kind of harvesting local herbs and plants around our neighborhood. So pesto can be anything green you can make into pesto. So I'd
I'm telling you,
recommend that.
my dom. Like I was just in the garden with my dom, and like there should be like a dominatrix cooking show.
Yeah.
Like I want to produce a like seriously, if you want to do an episode where you just cook something, we should do it. You know what I mean? Like, dominatrix, come on, that would be fucking great. You know what I mean?
Totally. That sounds fun.
Like even if it's just like pouring cereal into a bowl, it's like have like a sissy in the corner, and then,
Yeah.
clean up after. That'd be great. Okay, so all right. So you've done the show before. You know what it's like. So you know the final part. This is the word association game. All right. So
All
I'm
right.
going to say a word or phrase. You say the first word or phrase that pops into your head. So
All
if I
right.
say chastity, you may say lock, right? But let's say you're thinking of food. If I say chastity and you're thinking of pasta, you can say pasta. There's no wrong answer. We can get silly, we can get absurd, all right?
Okay.
So the first rule is you say the first thing that pops into your head. Second rule is we don't kink shame. So I'm probably going to say something that you're not into, and all you got to do instead of making fun of it, just say not my thing. Okay,
Okay.
and then there's the jar. Tangle Blue, oh Tangle Blue, I love you. Tangle Blue is a submissive kitten. She's in Kentucky, and we have a very weird sense of humor. And she sent me this jar filled with little pieces of paper. I don't know what I'm pulling out this jar. And oh, also my notes, yeah, they're gone. Right? This is off the top of my head too, so we're on the same level. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
you ready?
Yep.
You strapped in. You got your helmet on.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Pegging.
But
The St. Andrew's Cross.
flogging,
Straitjackets.
psycho,
Choking.
sexy,
The 50s housewife dynamic.
not for me.
Okay. All right. Kitten play.
Adorable,
Okay. All right. Fisting.
fun,
Okay. Cunnilingus.
can be fun,
Rope.
bondage,
Okay. Leather.
smell,
Wax play.
hot,
Fire play.
feels good,
All right. Knife play.
turn on,
Blood play.
vampire,
Okay. All right. Let's go to the job. Oh, shit. Okay. Safety.
number one, important.
Okay. Vulva sauce.
What?
I don't know. I told
Gross.
you. Oh, here's an interesting one. Boing. I told
Spring. I know.
you.
Yeah. Funny.
All right.
Hop.
Okay. Snake skin.
Tattoo.
Ooh. Okay. Underboob.
Hot.
Okay. Piss play.
Fun.
Okay. And finally, scat.
Not for me.
Okay. Oh my God, Mistress Lillian Bastet, you have been an absolute magnificent guest. It's been an honor for me to interview you again, and I hope you're healthy, and I hope you're happy, and I hope you're getting along during these crazy times. Like this is insane. But please stay. First of all, stay in the line, okay, and take this time to because I want to talk to you after we're done. But take this time to promote everything and anything you want to promote. What any social media, any even if it's not kink related, it doesn't matter. Just promote it. Just get it out there. Go.
So actually today I just published a new blog post and I published it to Medium online as well. It's a story about my basically how doing drag led to me doing domination. So it's sort of a history about my story of being a drag queen and becoming a dominatrix. So I just published that and would love for people to check that out and comment and stuff like that. So that's on Twitter. So always follow me on Twitter. Miss Lillian Bastet is Twitter, and on Instagram it's mistress.lillian. I have had some catfish problems on Instagram lately, so I'm not posting as much to there because it's just been pretty. It's just hard to share my authentic work on there without it getting taken down or stolen. So I'm not on there as much, so Twitter is better. And then Mistress Ophelia and I have an ABN Stars account where we give insight into our life, both as dominatrices and our personal relationship. So that is a chance for you to subscribe to that. ABN Stars Ophelia Lillian is the name. and that's really fun for us to share ourselves through that platform. And Nightshade Sanctuary is my space in San Francisco, and it's not up and running at the moment, but I really hope that after this is done, that we'll be able to return to offering classes and events there. So please check out nightshadesanctuary.com. I'm also basically accepting donations to help me pay for the very expensive San Francisco rent. So there's a link on the website for that. And then my website, lillianbastet.com, is the best way to get a hold of me and to check out my writings, my blog posts that I'm working on, and also just to stay connected if you want to pre-book a session or if you want to connect with me during this time. You can send me an email or reach out through Sext Panther. And I think that's all that I have to plug.
That's wonderful. Okay. Support Lillian Bastet, please, and support, DOMs and artists, and just support creativity. We need it. We need it in a time like this. We really do.
Yeah.
So uh, support me at patreon.com at YK/YKF. I'm at Twitter at Nicholas Tanek. I'm also at Instagram at Nick Tanek, and also at Friends Kinky. And then there's Twitter at Friends Kinky. There's YKF group. There's on Facebook. Then there's a Discord chat group. And oh my God, it's getting late, my friends. My Dom is calling me. Remember the cardinal rule: be cool, be kind, and keep an open mind. Take care. Stay safe. Stay.